Okay, we are live. Fabulem, I bring
We're
one
live.
greetings to now from the TNN podcast. Today, now the 29th of September, 2024. And the time on my side is 19:04 British Standard Time. And the time on the
Yes.
side of my guest is 6 o'clock in the evening, I believe. So
You're right.
not
Yes.
everybody don't give up on the idea of waiting transpire during the June 24, 2023 general elections in Sierra Leone. Of course, the elections were very, very controversial. There is no ifs, there are no ifs, no buts about that. These are facts, not opinion, conjectures. These are just pure, pure facts. As a consequence of all
Yes.
waiting happened, the country went into a
Mhm.
stalemate, or there was a quagmire that needed to be resolved. The local forces could not resolve the issue by themselves because one side obviously decided in government being very, very powerful and we get all the instruments of state to an advantage, which you not hesitate for use at all. So as a consequence of this, outside that we then call moral guarantors being get for coming to the picture and can't help for stabilize things because things be really they look bad. And it's like, pardon me, it's like say the country when they go descend into anarchy. So anyway, they come, they have a conversation, they have a document where they call the tripartite agreement. They are signatories to this agreement. Even now, they've been here for raise eyebrows as well, because as we go see again, I think about 13 political parties did participate in the election. But when it comes to
True.
time for deliberate on the issues, the outcome of the elections, only the two major parties them began for take part and draft a document in behalf of 8 plus or more million Sierra Leoneans. Them both those for and against. And as a consequence of this, the talk about all of this, the confusion, the controversy still continues. So the matter remains largely in the eyes of some people unresolved. One such person now we get today at the platform, we then get an organization we then call Progressive for the Agenda 2023. We can tell you all about this agenda. And this person is none other but WADI Williams. WADI, welcome to the program, my friend.
Good evening. Good evening, viewers.
Good
Nice
evening.
to be here.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
been a
you so
while
much.
since we last spoke.
Indeed, it's been quite a while, and I don't think it should have taken this while, but all the same, here we are.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. So why don't we just go
Good.
straight into this? As you can see, the title "Progressive for Agenda 2023." You care for tell
Yeah.
Pambulem, because I get a lot of people who don't begin to ask me, putting at this agenda for 2023 progressives and etc. Is it not another buzzword as usually so with political, calendar and agendas? So please tell with Fambule waiting actually in a progressive for agenda 2023. Who are
Okay.
they and what is it all about?
All right. Look, this whole thing was formed to address what we call the illegitimacy of the current regime. We understand perfectly, perfectly. Say we're in a situation now where in this country we don't go and vote, we don't deliver, we vote. And as the sovereign people of this nation, we face a problem now where it look like say then it deny we access to the actual results. Let me explain what we mean by that. The 2023 election, multi-tier election, was participated by a mass turnout by the population. People then come out early morning, the queue and all in kind today, and they vote. They vote specifically for a particular outcome. Well, and what happened? What happened is there have been all kinds of anomalies, all kinds of what you call that create dabaru, where they play by the election process. Where in fact the result where they announce is now not credible. We have information that votes weren't counted, there were disappearance of votes, etc., etc. So, in a sense, this nation is very uncomfortable with the result where ECSL been declared. We've tried, as you've outlined, we try all kind of options. We don't complain about this. We don't engage the international community and so on and so forth. But one thing that has remained consistent, the government, ECSL, have all plainly refused to release the one document that can solve this entire problem. The RRF. These are the forms that record the votes at every single voting station. They're signed by one, obviously the parties that are involved, SLPP, APC, international observers, Bindede. The international observers signed and document RRFs. They are the most authentic record of the elections. The problem where we demand for them to release the RRFs, so we can confirm, say, the figure we Connor ECSL declare, now the actual figure where people then vote. Surprise, surprise. The government, the ECL, refused for figures, refused for release them. And so all this yakba where we get, all this problem where we get to, we can directly trace it to the reluctance of the government and ECSL to release the figures that will clarify this whole issue. Let's say this again. This all yakba where we get to, this threat to our democracy, this threat to governance legitimacy, all that can be resolved, sorted by simply releasing the RRFs. You don't. Because in those, that will tell us whether Mada in fact received 56.1 or 2% of the votes, or whether Samoa received 55+ % of the votes, or whether nobody not received 55%. Now, there are consequences for which one of those options occur. Insofar the RRFs reveal that in fact Mada did receive 56%, then of course we will all have to come up, hold our hands up, apologize profusely for casting aspersions on the integrity of this government. However, if the RRFs indicate that Mada didn't get 55%, and then in fact Samura Kamara got 55%, then we must accept the fact that the keys to the State House must be handed to Samura. That our constitution says categorically. You cannot be president of Sierra Leone unless you obtain 55% of the legitimate votes. So if it turns out, say, Samura get that, then you must be handed the keys. However, if it turns out, say, Samura and Mada neither got 55%, well, there's only one option left to us. We either have to have a complete rerun, or at least the second round. And to my mind, I think that is where the solution is. We must accept the fact that whatever the outcome of the data with the RRFs, we must accept whatever the RRFs tell us. And this is why people like me, we are amazed when they're reluctant to release them from there. So Udanawi, I think that's the next question you were going to pose.
Yeah, that's correct.
Look, we cover a broad spectrum, from political activists, civil society operators, elements from the unions, etc., etc. In other words, we have a broad spectrum of concerned Sierra Leoneans who are appalled at this attempt to violate the democratic process of this country. And I think that people, let me say this just briefly as an aside. Let me understand what is at issue. The issue here is a straight fight between the forces of democracy and the forces of dictatorship. Let's make no bones about it. In a democracy, we the people decide who will govern us. In a dictatorship, the dictator and his particular cabal decide, impose their will on the people. Well, I'm not going to tell you whose side we're in this particular equation. We have an illegitimate government. We have a brutal government. We have a government that completely disregards the Constitution. That is the march towards dictatorship. With progressives for Agenda 2023, we represent the grouping of all the democratic forces. We say, now this country, now we the citizens decide that for government. Nobody not the kind impose them will power. We will make a decision whether we want for government, and that person there, or that group there, or that party there, or those individuals have entitled to govern this nation. So now from that premise there, now we start. So all man we there within progressive 2023, the one linking, connecting factor is our commitment to democracy. And we are firm that we not go no side until they release our data, until they release those votes. Because when they are our votes, now make them support for Gazeta, etc. They not do none of that. So we are demanding, we not ask, we not plead, we demand the release of our votes. And until that occurs, we will continue to oppose this government on every level. Let me make this point clear. I think it's an absolute insult.
Yeah, let me just
you
can do a follow up on that, because people are really keen on how, because that's a stated objective. We'll continue for oppose until you realize the objective of this organization. So the question to you, how would I intend for Guam? Is it just opposing by word of mouth, through the pen and interviews such as this one, or there are other tangible ways you guys are going to oppose so that government, it can have effect on government? How?
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is the strategy we are unfolding. We intend to create a broad spectrum coalition, which will involve not just political parties, because this goes beyond political parties. And let me just say this as an aside. This is not about the APC. This is not about our parties. This is about the nation itself. And so what we intend to do is build this broad coalition, connect with unions, with associations, with various youth organizations, women organizations. In other words, represent Salon. We want to create this spectrum, and we will bring pressure to bear. And our demand is quite simple. Release the figures for our votes. The reason why we make it that simple, so all man go understand, say, where we give we vote, we expect it to be recorded and accounted for. We intend to mobilize eventually, once we've got the public attuned to this, the whole host of civil disobedience issues, the whole host of protests, etc., that we're planning to lay out. So this is not just a passive statement, say, when I give you we vote, or when I tell we vote. No, we are demanding the right to have our votes counted and announced accurately. So let me make this point clear. We will mobilize this nation, mobilize interested parties, mobilize all those who are committed to democracy, to the democratic rights of the citizens of this nation. We mobilize them, and we will bring pressure to bear for those particular data to be released, and furthermore, for the future of governance to be based on the results that are really there. So in a sense, we are strongly constitutional. We insisting on the constitutionality of the government. We insist that nobody enough for govern this country unless we choose them. Well, that day we did. So we're going to have, we're mobilizing what I refer to as a broad spectrum. We have people individuals and organizations that share this view, and we feel, say, beaucoup people then have this particular position, but we all day inside we own silos. All man pack na your own silo with the state, well, you know it, but we not agree with this. So this government cannot for do this, or this not for that. We say, you know it, let we all come together within this progressive for Agenda 2023, come together ourselves and actually begin to shift this country forward. That in a nutshell, and that's what it's got to be.
Okay, Wadi. So the question I will pose to you on that basis is well said, by the way. But like you say, all man in their own corner. And if you not get the big side for join you, do you actually think, well, of course, I mean, you understand is one of the type of build a people's movement, because not only people can actually wreak serious havoc on government, but in so doing, they try to put together people from all walks of life, organizations, political parties. But how feasible is this? Where one of the biggest party sit down and had a conversation with the government, including moral guarantor them, and draft out a document. Is that no some sort of a wishful thinking, if you will like?
No, I think we're a long way from wishful thinking. I think let's be direct. You're referring to the performance of APC. I mean, let's not start being massaging this issue. We have to accept there's a fundamental fault line running through APC. And just for clarification, it was the APC presidential candidate who said categorically that he's committed to the acquisition of the RRF's disaggregated data. And he also said, failing that, he's demanding a rerun. Now, not to me to say that. In fact, I would say even more than that. When Adat, the presidential candidate for APC, Nadat, he said on more than one occasion, he don't commit himself for the release of the RRFs, disaggregated data. He don't commit himself. If for whatever reason they're not able to deliver that, then we must have a rerun. That is a clear statement by Samura Kamara. So let me not confuse that. All these others are peripheral issues. The central issue here is to get the valid, correct, validated results of the election. That one piece of information will solve this entire problem. The rest then is pure obfuscation. Then it's time to confuse this issue. It no matter who that Samura talk to or not talk to, the point is we want the votes. When I tell you, show me the actual votes, and we will operate from there. The rest is complete nonsense. I don't care if Samura Gab go talk to God. It don't matter. The important issue here is this: we who voted, want those results counted and presented authentically. We don't mix Spanish Dabaru nonsense. Samura been saying this or that. We don't care. Produce those damn votes. Now that we want. You know, so let me not get distracted by this nonsense from the government for suggest say we've been talking we go talk Nayanda. So what? I can talk to whoever I want. But first we vote come and make sure say the government where we get now government where we choose. Anything else is obfuscation. So sorry if I sound a bit harsh, but I don't tire for hearing people and
express yourself.
I don't tire for people to talk around this issue. They say the people in vote no matter. Imagine so-called politicians that this country are gap say, well, you know what, we go wait till 2028. That is treachery. That is treason in terms of the people, the people's vote. We tend to forget, say, the people are sovereign Naya. Not to Madan are sovereign Naya. Not to the Paupan are sovereign Naya. We the people are sovereign Naya. And the way we exercise that sovereignty, now for decide who that we want for can govern we. Not telling for can't tell we say Paupa, they want govern me. No, sir, we don't agree. That is the basis on which we are approaching this wedding court. We are the people who are saying democracy must triumph Naya. And this semi-dictatorship where they go on, so they must be removed from power. You don't. Not a complex issue. If we get an RRF today, and the RRF say, you know what, Mara not get 56%, then he must leave State House. Simple. So nothing else is of value here. We want the person in State House, our president, to be the person where we choose. Not the person where we decide self-appointed person to PowerPoint for the president. But I feel say Biba.
I like the way you asked the question. So let me talk about legality in this sense. Waiting at the approach, have we looked into the Constitution and what did the Constitution say to this effect?
Yes, that is a brilliant question, Prince. I make you can bug me small. Listen, let me say this: we are constitutionalists. Sure, in the future there might need to be some adjustment, but we are constitutionalists, and we take this point: the Constitution is clear. Nobody, no possible, anybody be president of Salon unless you get 55% of the votes, of the validated votes. There are massive indications, say the current illegitimate president did not achieve or acquire 55% of the votes. that in fact the claim that he got 56.1% was an absolute lie, an absolute fraud. And let me say this. If they want to disprove what I say so, face the RRFs and come. Look at the RRFs and see the RRFs and say, man, I get 56%. And let me tell you, if they do that and it turn out to man, I get 56%, these are the last words you'll hear from me with regards to politics. I'm going to retire completely from politics because I would have slandered Mara, I would have slandered the SLPP, almost unforgivable. But if the RRF, they sure say they don't get that, they must be forced to leave governance. We will not tolerate this illegitimate government. So let me make this point clear. And I think say we for left for yes.
Yeah, go on, please, go on.
Yeah, we for left this kind of approach here, where somehow we think we have to beg for our right for our votes to be counted. No, sir. In a democracy, we don't go for beg no one for vote. It's our right. And the result is our right. And you know what's the problem? In part,
no, sir.
Now we vote. This thing should have stopped in the previous election, where in fact the people in Aya, they vote for what you call cohabitation.
Yeah.
Cohabitation. Then give SLPP the executive, then give APC the legislature, parliament. Now that we vote the previous election. What did they do? The first thing they do, then kick out 9 or 10 people, force a speaker. That was the original sin. Now, from that nonsense, the way we tolerate that nonsense, then I make with you how they said today. And so, that has to be understood. Had we stood up then and said, no, that. Sorry?
The blame has to be shared, and absolutely they in agreement with you, with what you say, and this is nothing I talk about a lot. When you compromise the democracy going further, you will expect the worst, and this is the worst that you get. But what the Constitution, I think now section 17, subsection 13, say the Supreme Court can demand the Election Commission or commissioner for pull the results. Why is it not working with all of these demands, from citizens from different quarters of the country, up to a point now where Etanek Allman is being silenced? Why, if the Supreme Court, the Constitution say it can direct the commissioner or the commission for produce the result, and this not happen yet? Why?
Yes. Prince,
yes,
listen, sir. I know this sounds simple. We are living in a country where certain key institutions have already been captured. You cannot and do not look to the current construction or formation of the judiciary for a solution to this problem. Look, now this same judiciary, now being condoned and approved of the introduction of proportional representation, even though it was clear that that particular process should only be introduced if we don't have constituencies. That is a fact. The same Supreme Court actually authorized a proportional representation. So that tells you where the center of gravity is. The Supreme Court, PPRC, ECSL are all captured institutions. I make no bones about saying that. And this is what the move towards dictatorship has been planning. They have captured key institutions that determine both the election process and the election results. That is what they have done, and we're suffering the consequences of that. And I think it's important that we don't lose sight of that. With regards to the judiciary could have said months ago,
briefly,
and said, look, listen, hey, when I face them,
program can write back into the program. Family, this is the TNN TV Media Podcast. My name is Prince Samuel Koma. Today is the 29th of September 2024. And we talk to WADI Williams, the chairperson for Progressives for Agenda 2023. And they try to do a broke down to way as to what they exactly represent. I think he's back. WADI, you can continue from Musa, you've been left. We lost you briefly.
Yeah, no, what I've been saying basically is what I've been saying all along. We are at not just a crisis, but a critical moment in this nation's trajectory. But we cannot overstate or overemphasize this issue. We cannot. The future of this nation, the future of generations to come, is going to be determined by the outcome of this particular struggle. And this is no exaggeration. And I think as a population, we get to understand this. If they're able to get away with this particular electoral fraud, this particular seizure of power, this particular electoral coup d'etat, then those who are saying, oh, we'll do something in 2028, are delusional. Because if they can keep the election now, where we all be eye open, you think in 2028 is going to be difficult? I mean, it's complete idiocy for so-called Democrats for the jump around and talk about, we go wait till 2028. You are insane. And literally. And Una already talk about 2028. You have betrayed the people's vote. That's how disgusting your behaviors are. And you need to be told this clearly. Anybody who is saying a Democrat, he say he represents citizens, and he tinap say they wait till 2028, Una disgusting, bro. We all should be standing firm and defending our citizens' vote. We should be champions of our citizens, not corrupt, venal, spineless politicians. That is what I'm saying. I say this without any hesitation. All they want, they really going around talk shit and they in politics, or they're here to support the people. My friend, we're not all for going to retirement because you guys are a disgrace to this nation. A nation that has so many of you being seduced by the siren call of dictatorship. I waiting do now. Eh? We don't forget we say. Anybody being forced for say this nation here for tinap on the pillars of justice, of unity and freedom. How you go reconcile that with this betrayal of the people's votes? Eh? How not going to reconcile that? So I say this with all due respect to various political actors. But this is something I can no longer hide. Those of you who are supporting 2028 are a disgrace to this nation. Those of you that will abandon the people's votes, abandon the people's sovereignty. For what? Several have been bribed, intimidated. Well, listen, Salon, at least in the progressive for Agenda 2020, we are the people who will stand for democracy. We have not been bribed. We have not been intimidated. We will not be terrified. And believe you me, we are without fear. This nation deserves for her children to stand firm and demand, and I mean demand, we don't get for big for this, demand our constitutional rights, demand the choice where we make as to who that for government. And any politician who might up on that is a disgrace.
Mr. Williams, we can do yes. all of the tough talking, and I believe prior to the last election, we did a lot of tough talking, many interviews. Yes. And people, issued threats that they won't take, this nonsense, this collaboration yes. or the watering down of democratic principles, stealing of votes, transparency, and all yes. of these things. Yet, right in we face this, the election, quote unquote, was stolen. And I know I interviewed you a couple of times, and yes. We got them, clipped them there because you were so powerful and fiery in the things that you said at the time, including Mr. Magai, the former Attorney General, who we interviewed on this platform, who said that there was no way that the people's vote will be stolen. But we see when the people in grab, here for saying no, they were either gunned down or jailed, arbitrary arrest, unjudicial killings, and things like that happen to a point where people are kind of quiet down now. How not intend for really go about this differently this time as opposed to the last?
Well, what we're dealing with here is a struggle between the people and an illegitimate government. In other words, what we're saying, we have to recognize who we represent and what we are. The terrain is clear. We will have democracy here. Now, you ask me how this is to be done. Numbers. At the moment, I am 100% certain that if you were to contact or monitor each individual in Sierra Leone, the vast majority will support the view that then for release this RRF and we for really get a government where we vote for. Nobody, unless even a lunatic, can see the validity of that position. So you get to ask yourself, what to make the government is hesitant to release them figures? Imagine this, just to make this point. Imagine, say, you not the government, you go through the election, then declare you winner, and the whole country say, no, no lie, not to win. You would be at the forefront for demand let them release them figures. They for confirm the fact say you win. That's what they do. Of course not. That's what Power Party do. You see Power Party come up and say, but yeah, when I release them figures so we can show say that we win. Of course not. How could they? They know that they stole the election. Just as they know they stole it, we know they stole it, and we know that they stole it. So let me make this point totally clear. No, seriously.
Yeah.
You know,
You sound
and for that
like
reason,
Donald Rumsfeld,
like who that?
like Donald Rumsfeld,
I sound like
Donald Rumsfeld, Defense Secretary of the US. We know that they know.
Yes.
We know that they stole elections.
Of course. But it's true. It's true. We know. All man know. I make, then afraid for opening that box there, we get the RRF. And let me say this. The truth, facts, and anathema to this government. They cannot handle the truth. They cannot handle the facts. And any government unable to do that, it's time they stood down. Because it seems to me the truth and facts are now poison to this regime. Believe me, the RRFs is living poison for this regime. Well, bruh, if truth be killed now, we'll not just get for die. Because truth get for chin up now. That is the point we're making.
Okay.
And
okay,
yes,
WADI, if I can just ask you this quickly.
Yeah.
You obviously now being participant in the elections, which is now questionable. So you are familiar with waiting happen at the ground. You may not have all of waiting transpired, but to a large degree, and from the data that we now know being available to various parties, including non-governmental organizations such as New, Masala Samba's New, and etc., etc.
Yes.
What do you really think was the outcome of that elections day? If you can just speculate, because I don't say we're not getting anything forensic, which is being demanded now. What do you think really was the outcome? Was there a clear winner? Was there? What do you think?
Well, look, it's not just what I think. We've had access to a significant proportion of the data. And the data that we've had access to indicates that actually Samura won this election. The issue is that we had access to 70% of the RRFs. And within that, Samura was well ahead of the game.
Was it
however, the issue we
cannot just a section of the country, WADI?
The 70%, that's 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 70% of the RRF forms. We were unable, as our particular group, to obtain the remaining 30%. However, and this is the interesting point, we know that the Carter Center and various other observers have that 30%. And after this issue, one of the things we're going to be doing, we intend to have a press conference, just to go back to the point what we intend to do. And we're going to be putting out an APB, all points bulletin, to all concerned to allow us access to their particular RRFs. So in addition to the 70% where we get right now, we want access to the RRFs that New has, RRF that Carter Center has, and RRFs that any of those observers have. We're putting out an APB for that. So we will have all those figures. I know, for example, because I've spoken to some of the people in the Carter Center and so on, I know, say, amongst those figures, Mada did not get anywhere near 56%, didn't get anywhere near 55%. So Mada is literally an illegitimate usurping president as we speak.
Okay, WADI. Those are quite strong. Those are quite strong words, and it will resonate with many people. But on the same issue, WADI, are you saying that the Carter Center, the 30% of RRF funds that are in possession of, which supposed for square the 70%, which you already know about, the Carter Center not release that 30% data? Did they?
No, we don't. No, they haven't reached. No, we're going to make a formal request in the press conference we'll be having, and I think within the next week or 10 days. Part of the press conference, we're going to make a formal request for the Carter Center, various observers.
Is there a reason why they're not released them up till now, even though all under this?
I don't know whether there were protocol issues or what have you, but they have indicated, and this is what I mean about contemporary politics. They have indicated they have these figures, and presumably they're waiting for a request to be made. So we're going to make a public request for access to all RRFs. The one way Carter Center get, the one way New get, the one way the observers get, all. And it's from that. Sorry, so we get problem with electricity now. So it's from that.
In and out.
Yes. So it's from that perspective that we're actually going to drive this issue, because once we have access to these other data, it's going to be next to impossible for this regime to bluff its way out of this, because we can say categorically Nana did not get 55% plus one. We can say categorically Samura got X amount of votes. Fact. We can infer from that, or say this: either it means say we will have a rerun, or it means say power should be transferred to Samura. That will be made clear. And you mentioned earlier on about the Constitution.
Yeah.
One thing I can say about this group of the bill, so we are going to be definitively constitutionalists. Believe me. We will not be transgressing any constitutional position. We want not just for this illegitimate government to leave, but we want to develop a government, a new kind of governance that is country has. So, PK, I'll tell you, the blueprint where we look at now, once we can remove this political constipation, we don't kick Salonso, which is what power is. It's a form of political constipation. Once we don't remove them, we're looking at forming a government that stands on three pillars: ability, deep patriotism, and integrity. We want a government that is a complete opposite to what we have now. We want people of ability, people of integrity, and people of deep patriotism. Now that we're not getting at the government right now. And if we can build that kind of government here, believe you me, we will transform this nation. I have no doubt. So on that basis, I can tell you, seriously, PK, we are on the cusp, or if you like, the precipice of a monumental change in Salon. I remember many months ago when I've been there on this year program, I said we were on the precipice of a profound, far-reaching change. We're living through it. We're living through the birth process of a new dispensation, political dispensation that this country has. The pain where we feel, it's the birth pang of a new system. So yes, I know say we all suffer. I mean, we suffer not just politically, economically, culturally, but believe you me, the end product will be the birth of a new nation. That's really aim for. That is the objective of the exercise.
All right, Wadi, we get a few points for cover quickly before we end this show. But I still want to remain on the international side of things, because normally when issues of this kind happen, it's obvious that we get moral guarantors who will come into the picture, because we cannot resolve our own problems. So we call on them. And this is exactly what happened in this case. We begin for call on them. We agree they don't spend so much money, and etc. So therefore they come for help with for resolve the issue. In that process, they will see the U.S. ambassador became very active, almost giving directives as opposed to what is supposed to happen in the country, the direction we're supposed to go. And they actually give a nod to the current administration, which left a huge gap in terms of justice, electoral justice, which is being talked about now. So in other words, they don't tout him. They don't give him the green light, and they are working with him. He's recognized as the president. I wonder what you say to all of that for overturn this entire issue. How is it going to work if we not get the backing of the international side of things?
Well, first of all, please do not regard that the U.S. is end all and be all of the international community. They are a significant player, of course, But you must understand the US, in the final analysis, will pursue what it considers to be its interest. And so and our interest in Sierra Leone will not necessarily coincide with US interests. And it won't even necessarily coincide even with the ambassador's interest. Because if you notice, the ambassador initially come and say, well, people then we have to hold people account for their behavior during the elections. We will have to hold, they will be held accountable for their actions. Now, interrogate that statement. Waiting at the evidence where you go face camp to hold them to account. Basically, the stolen election. Basically, the fraudulent election. Well, now then, very same fact today, then very same data day. Now then, for guarantee, say we have a rerun, because obviously, if they say then people have fraudulently organized the election, if they say then thief the election, then clearly the election cannot stand. We must go back to the drawing board. So, in a sense, the American ambassador was at the most charitable, was significantly confused. And if I was going to be less charitable, I'd say his position is not becoming of an ambassador of a nation that proudly claims itself to be democratic. How this man go kaya, the country where the current government don't take the election, abuse the people them, and talk say we forget about rerun. We forget for actually actualize the people them with. So I'm not impressed at all with the American ambassador. That is one. Regard the compact, this recent document where they signed, apparently, they for release, I think, $450 or $480 million for power generation, etc. But you know, say several American companies don't already mark down, they don't say that they get that. We already owe over 400 million. So the 480 million when they send any GB, we're gonna get less than 50 million. Exactly. This is just smoke and mirrors and smoke. Believe me. We have to have a clear view, irrespective to what in America do, irrespective to what England do. We they say for go forward now, so give me results. And this not issue. It don't matter whether England says so or America says so or they don't agree. It doesn't matter a damn. We now say release the result today so we can have a government of our choosing. American what can choose government for me. England what can choose government for me. If they're really committed to supporting the position where we take, they should be actively supporting the progressive for Agenda 2023, because that is the will of this nation. And so without sounding too radical,
with what you just say regarding the international side of things, you know how it works internationally. No nation is an island. We kind of interconnected somehow, and because of we status the world, we don't produce, we don't manufacture, and we are third world, a degrading, your description of the side of the world where we come up from.
Yes.
And I know you're an activist, you don't agree with many of these terminologies, but somehow they are applicable. We rely on the generosity of others, here in the developed world, for let me advance, we don't cause them. So somehow the
okay. Look, it's a valid. I think what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about here.
Yeah, go on.
In other words, you're saying the effect of a dependency culture. We have a tendency, a dependency culture. So in a sense, there's always a tendency to look to the West or look to America and so on for the solution of our in-house problems. The problem with this is this: with regards to sovereign nation, that is not absolutely possible. America cannot decide for Winaya what is acceptable for Winaya. Nor can the UK. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have to find the testicular fortitude for Tinat, Kangawal, and Sebga. Now this we want, now this we depend for.
On pen and paper, yes, we are a sovereign. and we know what in the sovereign means. So on pen and paper, they cannot come and dictate to us how we should live our lives, go about with business. But in real practical terms, this is exactly what that they do, isn't it? Okay, I think we lost WADI briefly. It's frozen. Yeah. So, Famulem, they talk to WADI Williams, who is the chairperson for Progressive Agenda for 2023. And as I heard earlier, I don't articulate what Agenda 2023 mean. These are people the way they demand in the strongest of terms that the 2023 vote must be produced. The RRF forms will constitute the winner, will actually show the winner. Now in the one for C, and this government not pull the results in the. So as a consequence, there are many questions from many quarters in the country. And Wadi Williams and others are heading organizations where they try for come together and form one force for demand that the forms the disaggregated list must be produced. And until it is produced, the government remains illegal. President Bio remains an illegal president. These are normal words. These are the words of Mr. Wadi Williams, the chairperson for Progressive Agenda 2023. When Wadi come back, we get a few questions for Askam before we wrap up the show. Wadi, when you come back, just let us know. So, okay, I think he's back. He's back. All right, Wadi is back. So we lost Wadi.
We went offline just now.
I get Christmas lights. This is past Christmas lights on and off. Anyway, but yeah, waiting have been the same Wadi. Yeah, the same dependency culture. So yes, we can try for decouple from that dependency culture, and we understand the terminology. Sovereign, yes, we are sovereign. On pen and paper, they cannot tell us what we're supposed to do because that would be interference in our domestic and other affairs.
Yes.
But that's on pen and paper. Yes. But in actuality, now then they tell we how for lay down and how for grab, what we they eat and how we they eat because we cannot tie. Until we deconstruct that, we are still tied to the manipulation there, isn't it?
Yes. I think that's a valid insight. Yes, there are strong connections, if you will, with the international community. I mean, let's understand, not only because we find, the reason why we are of interest to them are twofold. We have an extraordinarily valuable strategic location. We have some of the finest harbors in Naya, that in terms of controlling the Atlantic Ocean, we are a key spot. That's not one. We are also pay host to a remarkable array of valuable raw materials, rare earth, etc., etc. So there are very good reasons why they have an interest here. And there's a third geopolitical issue where we don't forget. There is a massive global struggle going on now for control of the planet, either in a hegemonic sense, i.e. with the West calling the shots globally, or in my particular preference, for what is referred to as BRICS. There's a massive struggle for power in terms of the governance. We're moving from a monopolar to a multipolar world. We're moving from what people refer to as the Western hegemony of the globe to a more decentralized power structure. Let me understand, it's in that context that we own drama to play out. Yeah. Look around the world for you. And it is in that context that we need to take a stand here. We don't move beyond this issue where we act like Puru. I mean, look at that in T3 the United Nations. Just look at that. Then say, well, you know, we go give a permanent seat, but we're not giving a veto. That is such a blatant insult. Well, who that feel say them?
Again, Wadi, I mean, we're drifting away a little bit into geopolitics. Yes, there was a reason why, briefly, but I would like for we come back to your narrative. But of course, there's a connection there. But whichever, we know say power they shift, here towards the global south, and so therefore the dynamics they change. But in your position where we are, it's damn if we do and damn if we don't, we shall still be controlled. So in this regard, I want to talk about the MCC money because now them mechanism they are the two layer now they can use like the carrot and stick approach.
Yeah.
So waiting now you thought
Yeah.
about this MCC money. You tell me
Well,
you please if you
if you read that entire document properly, it makes passing comments to question of effectively democratization, that they fulfill all the compact and so on and so forth. So there is a recognition of the need for democratic process, for democratic progress. There's a recognition there that some of these issues, even the recommendations that were delivered by the tripartite committee, there's an indication there that they're of the view that those recommendations should be implemented. In other words, the MCC that you refer to, they in no way are they hostile to what we're trying to do. They don't say we not forget about democracy. They don't say we not forget about the vote. No. What they say was all that is woven into the fabric of this MCC. However, and here's the important thing, they're using the MCC as a kind of a carrot and stick. I think it's becoming the power feel that they might get their hands on these millions. Well, the truth is they will not get their hands on these millions. They will not. And I think that we should be very careful about how we regard and deal with this MCC issue. Very careful indeed. Because I think what I have heard said, that the regime wants to make the question of provision of power, electricity, their legacy. This is what I was informed. They intend to make it their legacy. Well, my view is this compact, whether they sign so or whether non sign, unless this government actually turns its face towards a democratic process, that 400 and something million no go come here during that period. They will not be releasing those funds for as long as we have this particular political crisis. Well, I don't think so. I get for telling now. We are in the middle of a political crisis, and there's no way they're going to send 420 million or whatever during this period. It's not going to happen until such time as we resolve the political reality here. It's not going to happen. So my view is, yes, they say they don't sign the document for sure. I don't think that's a problem, but I don't think we need to worry ourselves too much about this, because this country will not be in a state to accept those funds. They will not release the funds for as long as we have this political illegitimacy, for as long as the government is illegitimate, for as long as we, the populace, are clearly opposed to the government. They're not going to release that money there. That is my view. I don't think we can begin to dance in the street, say 480 million they come. No. I think that we have to understand it will not come until there is political stability here. Which brings me to ECOSMIL, the ECOWAS force we supposed for the camp.
So that's exactly where I was going. And my question to you on that basis before you elucidate is the coming of this stabilization force. How you and your group, or the Sierra Leonean people generally see the coming of this force, this stabilization force.
Yeah. Well, listen. First of all, say Sierra Leone had a far from happy experience the last time where ECOWAS then forces come. With ECOMOG, there are still reports today of some far from professional behavior by the ECOMOG forces. So the first thing we have to address, we have to ensure that ECOMSMIL, the new reiteration of this, will be different. Don't forget the mandate that they have is for ensuring political stability. Their stabilization force, their mandate commits them to the protection of civilian population. Their mandate insists that they support the democratic forces here. That was not the mandate for ECOWAS. And the only reason why that's a mandate now, because ECOWAS recognizes that the elections we've just had in 2023 were anything but fair, just, and transparent. In other words, ECOWAS recognizes we have a significant crisis of legitimacy now. They recognize it. And the first way they can, at best, will be to hold the line, i.e., to ensure that we don't have this what will you call this government running wild and slaughtering the citizens. They're here to protect the citizens. They're here to protect the citizenry. That is part of their mandate. But what they're not going to do, they're not as an organization going to march MADA out of State House. That's not going to happen. That is something, if we don't want MADA and we don't want MADA, that is for
Exactly.
us to do. And that
Agree.
is why we have this progressives for Agenda 2023. That is the vehicle to remove this illegitimate government.
So I
Believe me,
agree. I
that
agree
is the
with Waiting. I agree with Waiting. I agree with all Waiting you say just now, and I've been saying this to professional friends and social friends and in the social circle, because we need to understand the mandate of the stabilization force. And ironically, it is coming, here to protect the democracy in
yes, we do.
inverted commas, and in effect, protecting this current regime, which you are saying
Yes,
is illegitimate. That's
exactly.
the irony about this entire thing. But then it is an opportunity that on their arrival, they will be able to provide a protection wing
PK,
around the people. Yeah, because now the people will be, emboldened for make a demand
yes.
such as which you guys are asking for. But what the electoral justice and progressive for Agenda 2023, is there any difference between
Yes.
the two? On something where you own or subscribe
Electoral,
to us?
electoral justice. Sorry, electoral justice and Agenda
And the
2023.
progressive agenda for 2023, is there a difference on something where una subscribe to or vis-a-vis either side?
Listen, there's not a tissue paper difference between electoral justice and Agenda 2023. The raison d'etre for Agenda 2023 is to deliver on electoral justice. Look, this whole thing about votes, about electoral coup d'etat, all that turns around the issue of electoral justice. And the important thing to realize, one of the reasons why we formed this group here is precisely because we are fighting for electoral justice. Everyone within inside this group here, one of the qualifications, the only criteria for join this movement, this progressive movement, you must be committed to Agenda 2023. And Agenda 2023 is the vanguard of the fight for electoral justice. There is no difference. Honestly, every one of we are committed to this objective. Naime can say this now, then one day we'll say about 2028, they're traitors to this nation. Because Usai Oman for day with regards this issue. Now electoral justice, we don't get electoral justice. We have a travesty of the people's sovereignty. So room not there for ambiguity for beginning say, well, no, you know what, with the wait till 2028. No, it's a fight that has to be done now. And when I say fight, I mean fight. Political fight, psychological, ideological, philosophical, right across the spectrum. Now that we engage on. So already, I think in terms of facts, we don't win the case. And I say this again: the key issue is to make this transition in a democratic way. I know say some man and they jump and say that, but let we go into the armed struggle and then continue. No, no. We have the opportunity to deliver a remarkable outcome democratically. We can give an example of how we can remove whether quasi-fascist or dictatorship and so on. We have an example of how we can change that. And the question where you've been asking me earlier on, the question was how? Well, how It's both very complicated and very simple. The simple part is this: we have to mobilize our forces and utilize the political landscape and the cultural landscape to mobilize such a force that this illegitimate regime will have to stand down. For example, we get authenticated RRF forms, so we have the figures. So we know, say, we can demonstrate, say, by the data, this government not get the support we need. That's not one. We have to mobilize civil organizations, political parties. So we begin to make a common front. And if it means that we have to call stay-at-homes, we can do that. We can begin to flex our organizational strength. We will be demanding that all APC members, we will be demanding that all APC members remove themselves from parliament, withdraw their support for the government. We will argue that they cannot be seen to be working with an illegitimate, barbaric government. So we'll be demanding in due course for APC members, MPs, to remove themselves from parliament, withdraw their relationship with the government. They did that before.
How realistic will this proposal be, for them to withdraw themselves? Because I say this, the last time before they take up their seats after the elections in protest at the elections results, they must have reached some kind of agreement will make them go take their seat. But I heard that trouble was brewing within, understanding with society. Yes. How many more weeks or months could those MPs have resisted taking those seats? If you know what I mean. So there was going to be a rebellion. So calling on them at this time again for remove themselves if there's no certainty and if they're not committed, they're not patriotic enough. Is this really feasible?
But I think the reality today is different from how it was at the beginning of 2022. Let me explain why. Earlier on, I mentioned the flaw, the fault line within APC. Look, despite all the noise where some members of the executive will make, the grassroots of APC does not support the executive. The grassroots of APC supports the need for the production of the RRF form. This is where what I consider to be the Samura faction has massive ground support within the APC at grassroots level. What he doesn't have is support within the executive. The executive have what you might call a different agenda. They have bought into the matter position, which is, what do we go do now? Every 10 years we change. This next 10 years, now SLPP, next 10 years, now APC. That is the nonsensical story where people are by. They forget, say, this is supposed to be a democracy. not only the president of SLPP decide who that will be president 10 years from now. Now we need to decide. And right now, we don't decide them for common. But to get back to the point where you raised, how we move forward from this situation. The flaws in the APC, when part of the APC, they are incapable of standing for democracy. Well, let me deal with the grassroots. Let me deal with the elements within APC. We actually support the 2023 agenda. And I can name some people in the APC. We actually support Agenda 2023. Apart from the noted one, Samura, everybody knows that Samura advocates Agenda 2023. We also have Kapala Mara. We have several of the members who were part of the delegation, the APC delegation to the tripartite. They have come out publicly in support of Agenda 2023. So it's not that they're not elements within APC, but I want to let me evolve beyond seeing salon politics as a binary just between APC and SLPP. No, we have to change that perspective. This nation is bigger than both those parties. And this nation will decide the direction where they go. APC in its current configuration is in no position to lead this country. SLPP has shown by its behavior that they're an absolute nightmare. They have no qualification to lead this nation. We have to dare to look at this issue anew. Look at actually gathering the remarkable talents and assets that this nation has produced and organize them into a government that reflects the genius of this nation. And the genius of this nation does not reside in APC or SLPP, in Mende or Creole or Timine. It's something that resides in all of us. That is what makes us Sierra Leoneans. And yeah, I don't say this before. We have to evolve beyond what they call Mende line, Temini line, Creole line, Limba line. We want Salon line. Now that we get for Bill. That is the line that takes as primary commitment Sierra Leone. Now make we define this electoral justice business.
Thank you.
Yes,
Well, you know, things. I mean, there are too many irrational actors rather than rational ones. Hence why we barely they make progress. I mean, the sonko, the hypocrisy, the deception, the unwillingness for taking a courageous stand. Don't you think we get plenty of harm? Hence why it's difficult for that we deconstruct the current morass that we find ourselves in and reconstruct something new where I think you try to articulate. And this is where the problem lies, is it?
Powerful. You put your finger on the absolute issue. Listen, what we're experiencing is the consequence of systematic intimidation. You see this regime here, they have wielded power by violence, threats, and terror. Beaucoup people are afraid. Then they're afraid for even say boo. Some people, if you ask them, well, what do you think about this way they call you out? They say, bruh, where would I done when I can't come? Now, but this is where we who claim to be leaders, who claim to be political leaders, this is where we have to show the inherent courage that's necessary. With Nayaso, we get for sure, say, where we say we elect this country, where we say we can transform this country, now this circumstance, now you go see me. Because all them one way now, yesterday, them you say, but we want change, we want this. Look at them now. They don't go totally silent. They don't begin produce all kinds of complicated analysis where we don't for change. Nonsense. We will say we are leaders. Let we show say we are leaders. Let we show say we really support the people them. Let we show say we are genuine Democrats. Now the one thing this elect modification we do now. We able to see all man, who say all man day. All the talk with them in the talk. We push camp and shove, who say they day. They don't abandon democracy but back now 2028. Of course,
so
yes.
Wadi, very interesting, but the interview must come to an end with this. My final, question to you. On the same basis of your flow, how optimistic, or are you optimistic or pessimistic, whichever way, about reconstructing something in view of which you don't talk about this entire issue and which you would anticipate in terms of agenda for progressive 2023, something more tangible, more actualizable, more realistic, more something where we can feel thought where really can happen, not just words, because we've said enough. It's time for action. How optimistic or pessimistic are you?
Well, listen, let me tell you, we are going to turn the pages of history. This regime will go unambiguous. They're an illegitimate regime. They do not have the democratic support of the people of this nation. They will go. Your question is the actual methodology for Usai we day to Usai we want to go to, the steps that we need to take to transition from this nascent dictatorship to a fully fledged democracy. That is the essence of your question. And let me address that directly. As you will see over the coming weeks, you will see as we roll out our program, roll out a public massive mobilization, roll out in the international media, roll out across all the political parties, progressive political parties in our salon, roll out across all the unions and associations in that salon, and organize ourselves in a manner that we can begin to make demand on the state. Listen, a simple thing like stay at home, for example, a simple thing like stay at home, that is something we can organize. But that is only step one. Only step one. We then intend to actually address this issue. All of we will withdraw our relationship with the state. What do I mean by that? You see things like strikes, etc., etc. That will come in due course. And believe you me, once we mobilize the workers and various associations, we call a strike Naya, believe you me, the government cannot function. It will be clear the government no longer has the support of the populace. And simple way to do that, initially we're going to do a stay at home. So we the people know say we get that kind of support there, and the government knows say we get that kind of support today. And if they don't take that warning day, we will then increase the things that we get for them. And I'm saying this now in this manner because I don't want to preempt our actions. But take it from me, there are going to be significant public participation. And at this one colleague then say, you know what, this echoes mail where it come, all that go do now for hold the door open so the populace can express their will. In other words, the echoes mail where it come, they're supposed to put a brake on the potential brutality of this regime. So beaucoup people then wait for their echoes mail are in place. Well, we not wait to. We did begin ala now, we did begin organize now, because not just for remove this government, we have to be in a position to have the personnel responsible, capable of assuming governance. So now two-pronged attack we do now. One, mobilize the public, and that we do so. We're going to do this across the board. Two, begin to organize civil action. And the combination of that, we're likely to arrive at, within they arrive at Senegal. Senegal went through the same process. The people reconfigured their politics, their opposition politics, and were able to embrace a wide spectrum of support. What are that really do now? Listen, when we have our press conference, which will be in about 10 days or so, a week, 10 days, you will see in actuality exactly the people that we don't begin count together. Listen, we have people now who are completely committed. And I mean both Sierra Leone domicile and diaspora. PK, you are in for a surprise, my friend. We have, honestly, you're in for a surprise. We have so much more support than is recognized. I mean, you know what somebody will tell me the other day?
No.
He said, look, then why meaning the power, they don't realize the kind of support where we get in this country. You know, we don't, all side where you go, including the south and the east, they are committed to change. You know what about people in the south and east and say, who's kind of trouble this man don't come face with pencil? Because people are beginning to talk in terms of look what in the mandate they do. Look what in the mandate they try to do. In fact, somebody one day said to me, you know, what they want to do, now waiting up in Rwanda. They say Rwanda, 12% of the Rwandan population are Tutsis. 80% are Hutus. The Hutus have never had a head of state in Rwanda. And the one time where they get them, Kagame shoots the plane down. Now, this is a long way for saying there are certain elements in the Mendi who feel they can emulate the Tutsis' performance in Rwanda, i.e., they can dominate the whole system as the Tutsis do, because they say, look, if Tutsis can do it with 12%, what do you make we're not going to do it with 30%? That is a dangerous position. And it's a dangerous position that could lead this nation into a hecatomb. We must stop that nonsense. Now, what we're building is non-tribal, non-regional, non-bigoted. We want to see the new Sierra Leone Naya. And if it means we have to remove this government, we will remove this government. And that in itself is not enough. We must replace this government with a new kind of governance. Let me say it again. We want a government that has integrity, ability, and patriotism. You get in combination, they will transform this nation. So please, hold your horses for now. We they come. We're already in position. We're about to move. Watch the development of this progressives for Agenda 2022. Believe me, nothing other than this country will pass through. Either in terms of support, in terms of ability, in terms of commitment, in terms of patriotism, in terms of know-how. Nothing. No other configuration of forces Naya can anywhere near it. We're talking about the Sierra Leone of tomorrow that's just arrived here today. PK, what is so important about you? I remember 2 years ago when we had a discussion over the future of Sierra Leone. Well, now inside Ayagbade we did it. Now inside Ayagbade.
In other words, in the cause of the people, Aluta continue, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Listen, the people we have a voice. We are building a voice and we're building power. Let me not confuse you, Seppo. The entire exercise that we did on is to change not just the power structure, but change the actual power in this country. We don't tire with these barbarians. Believe me, we don't tire with them. And we for sure say Sierra Leone is a nation that has people of quality. But all sign of the world, you go there, you go find Salomon where they excel. Salomon where they excel. What do you make where they will excel now? What do you do? We move here, go yonder, brilliant, extraordinary people there. We can hire Omanton coward. What do you do? And that is what the leadership we're going to provide, that has the courage, the insightful vision, and the strength of will for deliver. We're not in Marai again, we're not in play again, laterally. And let me say it again for the umpteenth time. This government has to go. And this government will go. And democracy will triumph now. Neither Mada nor in Cabal will stop the destiny of this nation. Never again, laterally. So now from that perspective, now in this, which we refer to as progressives for Agenda 2023, what we try to do, we're beginning to form what will be eventually the alternative government to this nation. Now that, if you want to know the deep move, we are gathering people together that have all the qualities we need to replace the current government. And that dream where we all get, but Salon, we can't deliver now. And this is going to shock you. We wait in Absol, they make all this noise here, me self included. But we win this election or we come to power and we don't deliver. We don't forget that we all take we go to Padema Road, even though we don't have capital punishment every day. And I tell you what, because Boku people they don't can't say, hey, we go do this, we go do that. What happy? They get to power, they become totally corrupted by it. They become totally corrupted by the experience. Well, we will be the difference. I guarantee you that when we have a change of government, the new government, believe me, is something this nation has never suffered. Never. And we're ready for that now, and I say that with utmost confidence. I expect you to be part of the celebration where we change this government here. Let me say this again. The days for Mada and his cabal are numbered. Believe me, are numbered. They will have to go, and Sierra Leone deserves a better government. We deserve a better governance. We deserve for the genius of this nation to have a platform to express itself. But how we go? I don't know who still has Shikaya. But I say numerous people there. Not gutter than sleep. Gutter. Numerous people. And as far as the way they call the slum areas, but if you see the kind of water we pick in there, they play. laced with feces, all kind of nonsense. These are Sierra Leone citizens, bro. And are the condition on the depend. Right now, because of the strain in the economy, beaucoup people are not getting that for it. They're not even paying school fee for the people. This is a dire consequence, and let me not make no mistake. Anybody with the can answer for wait till 2028, leave me. If I've been getting waiting for send and go Kisi case out. You cannot subject this nation to the anguish and pain where we suffer right now, and say for whatever reason we don't change that. My view, focus on the RRS. From there, we will change the government. Focus on organizing basic organizations, civil organizations, political parties, women's organizations. You know, one of the staunchest supporters of what we try to do, now market money. Every time when we go there, they say, well, listen, what in the happy about this money? What in the happy? So this, that. They are ready to go. But they don't yet have an organizational format that really provide. Bikers, would you believe the bikers union are going wild about the fact of this government pogo? Various youth organizations, even the lawyers association are hostile to the government because of that maneuver where they make the elections. So we have intellectual support, we have mass support, drivers union, trade union are appalled with this nation. And they're appalled with this nation, and they tell me this, even though attempts have been made for bribing them, for intimidate them, etc. I mean, I talked to one of the leaders of the unions and said, bruh, you don't know what they happen now. They can't pressure where this company face company because they're afraid of the unions, of the workers deciding to withhold their labor. Believe me, we organized a general strike now. The end of the government, nothing not even now.
Which I absolutely agree with. I mean, there is no power greater than the people's power. And obviously, when the people come together, now the government can try for avoid the convergence of people, because people's power is greater than any other power. There's no security forces we can stop such a power. It's volcanic. It's eruptible. Now, earthquake we pass where they reach that scale, not even able for measure. On this note, Wadi, I want to say thank you very much. I mean, you've touched on every point, and we will try for slice these videos as usual and try for send them out there, because that's a very powerful statement you've made. In the end, democracy must prevail. The people's vote must be protected. I strongly believe in the institution and principles of democracy. We can't just talk about them, but we don't live it. We can't talk the talk, we cannot walk the walk. So I want to say thank you very much, Wadi.
But let me just say one thing. You know, we are going to give substance to this issue. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. Let's say that again. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. We are going to give substance to that adage. Now that we get for proof, that we prove. And PK, I can't even begin to thank you. And as for your listeners, then, but listen, on a mark reward the way we talk, then I am. What's within the happiness salon? We are committed to transforming this nation, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So I can PK, I thank you, and I hope we can again, in the not too distant future, have a conversation so we can assess the extent to which we've scored the successes necessary.
Absolutely.
No worry, we return the page.
The platform will always be at the service of Progressive for Agenda 2023. Thank you so much, sir.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And viewers, thank you. Soon, I hope.
So, family,
let's talk again.
No worries. Catch us soon. So, viewers, we've come to the end of that's right.
Okay.
We've come to the end of another powerful program. Agenda for 2023, Progressives for Agenda 2023. Like I say, and when I see the caption, not everybody agree or don't give up on the idea of the 2023 elections, which been very controversial, and up till now, the disaggregated list, way for don't pronounce in a forensic way a winner or no winner or a rerun, the idea way for don't determine the result. We will avoid all these arguments has still not been produced. The chairman of NEC the commissioner or director for NEC, Mr. Mohamed Kane, it do the Sierra Leonean people grave injustice, and this will never be forgiven. We know that, of course. But this is the situation today as we speak. And obviously, those who have not given up on the idea as at yet, they are absolutely right for hold on to that. It makes a lot of sense. Boku sense. And people then will continue for making them demand and even though they look at from a different prism, but I do understand these demands, and they are right, they are justifiable, and in the absence of the disaggregated list, people then will continue for do so. What bothered me most is the Constitution reigns supreme, and there's a section in the Constitution which says that a demand can be made by the Supreme Court for the commissioner of NEC for produce the disaggregated list. But as we speak to this day, that has not been done. And President Bio continues to be recognized as President of the Republic. He's flying in and out, left, right, and center. All protocols deserve of a head of state is being accorded him. So what we also know is the stabilization force. They come na salon soon. And the irony of the stabilization force is they are coming to protect the democracy that exists. This is, again, I make a call an irony under the watchful eyes of the controversial president-elect, Julius Maada Bio. So you see the problem. But waiting me the suspect now is the people go use this occasion once that stabilization force, 1,200 man strong, come out the country and deploy. The people will then come out and try to exercise the right. What happens thereafter, I don't know. But they will be or should be protected by the stabilization force. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, thank you for watching. I mean, this platform cannot exist without you. The second phase of 7 to 8 years of broadcast, we want for convey to Una that we are very much interested in building up with followership made up of indigenous people. By that I mean people them we message is going to, or who that we represent and who that we speak to. We don't want to get platform then who they pay for people there for can support. In the end, you get Sanjeev Kumar name, you get Chin Chuan Kai and all them one, and they know we want to see the Camaras, the Koromas, the Kromas, the Kings, the Williamses, and all of these, them kind of names. Now we want to see. So I ask Una, please support the platform. You can support the platform in many ways. For run this, it requires time, it requires money, finances, and etc. But above all, if we can increase with followership, hold on this program, please encourage a family or friend for sign up, for follow, okay, for follow or like. We would deeply appreciate that. This platform is here to stay. Coming soon, we get 2 major programs we hope for host Honorable Kemosise on the platform. Hopefully that work out soon. We're in talk with the former president in Border, Silvanos Waterman Kooma. We try for bring and come on as well. But I know say this week coming, we host a guest where we want to talk about the current APC executive. And there'll be a question on whether the current executive is legitimate. And we'll also talk about the verification and registration process, which is ongoing now in the country. Tune in to Then and Now if you want to get your daily dose of news, where will make a difference, in your life. Continue for support and in this regard, I want to say thank you very much for watching and can I take your leave for now. Thank you until the next video. We'll catch up again. Bye.